Hey guys and girls on Ask Japanese, this is Kathy Cat. Greetings from Tokyo. And one of the questions you guys ask us a lot is how much is living in Tokyo? What are the expenses? How much do you actually have to expect when you come to Japan? And today we're going to find out about that. So let's go and take notes. First of all, for rooms. Now, generally people in Tokyo just rent one room. Unless you have crazy lot money, then you can have more than one room. But generally it starts at just one room. We got 1 R, 1 K, 1 DK, and 1 LDK. So what does that mean? 1 R is simply understood in the English term 1 R means one room, which means everything is just in one room. You have like a little corner in that square, but maybe it's the kitchen and maybe your wardrobe is in it as well. Usually the wardrobe is sometimes in the wall for security reasons because of earthquakes. So everything is in one space. That is 1 R. That's very, very common. The next one is 1 K, which means you have one room, but you have kind of a little bit of a separate area for the kitchen. It might just be a little alcove, something that is quite big enough for it to be a room, but there will definitely be a little bit more of a separate kitchen. So it's a bit more preferable if you don't want your clothes and your bed and everything else to smell of the food that you cooked yourself last night. 1 DK, you're already lucky enough to have a kitchen that is big enough to put down a table. And I don't mean the big American dinner tables, but a small table on which you could in theory sit and eat. Now, I've never had that, but it does exist. If you are wealthy and lucky enough to have an apartment that is a 1 LDK, it means a one living dining kitchen. Meaning you have your original room, the size didn't change, but the kitchen is now big enough that you can fit a table there to eat and maybe a sofa or something similar to spend some time in that room. That is pretty sweet. Mind me saying that. But going back to the 1 R apartment, the one room apartment, meaning that the kitchen, the dining, the living, and the sleeping is all in the same room. Now, the sizes of those ones can start from the size of just being able to squeeze a single person bed in there, and then they can go up to from 13 to 20 square meters. But still, everything else is in that room, apart from maybe the bathroom. Now let's go to the 1K. So that means you have, or you're at least supposed to have, a separate kitchen. Now it doesn't even actually mean that it's completely separate. They sometimes cut some corners there and have like a tiny little wall between it, or it's like a little niche that counts as kitchen and stuff like that. So it sometimes doesn't even make that much of a change compared to a 1 R, just one room. It's just easier to sell it that way if it says 1K, it says it has a kitchen, but it might not be that much of a difference, and it only changes about a little bit in square meters, so it can go up to 25 square meters as a max. Like I mentioned, a 1 DK means there's enough space to actually put some dining chairs or tables into the room. Now, again, not the big sizes that you might be used to in the West, maybe just a single little table, the size of a big book, and then maybe one table next to it or a second table next to it. Just having enough space to not just cut your vegetables, but also sit down and eat the vegetables in that room. So already you have a little bit more space, but not too much. From around 23 square meters to up to 35 square meters, you might be able to be the proud person who lives in a LDK, meaning the kitchen is big enough to put not only in a table and maybe one chair or two, but also maybe a couch or maybe even a TV, so you can actually spend some time in that room that is separate from where you sleep or keep your clothes. Now the director researched and found the average rent. So let's look at that one. One room is around 32,000 yen up to 125,000 yen on average. So the average would be 76,000 yen. 1K is 30,000 yen to 120,000 yen. 1DK would be 40,000 to 160,000, and 1LDK would be 55,000 to 220,000. But that's just an example, and that's actually the average taken of Tokyo, the inside of Tokyo and the outside of Tokyo, meaning Tokyo is not just this big city. There's also more of Tokyo that is more on the countryside where barely anyone is living and the rent is a lot lower. So to be honest, those prices are a bit ideal. Something gets a lot more expensive. So even the max price that I told you, that can easily get maxed out. So how much do you pay for renting a room or for living 1 month here in Tokyo? So apart from the rent, there's also the lifelines that you'll have to pay for: water, gas, and electricity. Yes, Japan still uses gas. You will have to pay a gas bill. And then on top of that, other living expenses come together, such as food, but also your internet, your phone, those kind of things you need to have. So let's summarize this up, have a look what other costs are coming up for you. So your lifelines, gas, water, and electricity, those things are generally billed separately, and they actually count separately. If there's a big earthquake and one of those lifelines or even two of those lifelines break down, you still have a third one to rely back on, and that's why they're separate. Sometimes the companies can work with each other, or one company can have two of those lifelines, but it's generally all billed separately as well here in Japan. Now that can start from around 8,000 yen and upwards, depending on how much you use it. Especially electricity. Don't forget, Japanese people here in winter heat with air conditioning, and in summer cool with air conditioning. In winter and summer month, that might go up, also depending on the volume and size of your room and where your air conditioning is placed. You might feel hotter or colder, and you might use it more or less so. So in summer when it's really, really hot, or in winter when it's really, really cold, and you use that non-stop, then you'll definitely have a lot higher bill. Next number, food. Of course, that's the most important thing. And food can actually vary depending on which city you're living. So Tokyo, the average is around 43,000 yen per month, while Osaka, still a big city, is at 37. So some reasons for that being is, first of all, a lot of people are moving to Tokyo. Generally, living expenses for Tokyo are higher, and there's a lot of great restaurants, foods, convenience stores. There's food at every corner. They say that Tokyo is the biggest density of culinary restaurants anywhere else compared to anywhere else in the world. So you spend a little bit more to get the food that you want, while in other cities, even Osaka, you pay a little bit less for the food. So for the 43,000 yen, you'd get around 63 Big Mac combos, around 54 bowls of tasty ramen, or 92 caramel macchiatos. But there are other extra costs that will come on top of that. Toothbrushes, face washes, and I wanted to show this on time and it's not working. But on top of that, there's some other extra costs that will come to you. Toothbrushes, face washes, soap, laundry detergent, hand sanitizer. All that kind of stuff will add up. Now, the director put the average around 5,000 yen. Let's be honest, for girls, that can be double or triple the size here for like makeup remover, makeup products, special hair products, similar things like that, especially because Japanese girls here pay a lot of attention to their physical appearance. You have to buy a lot of extra things on top of that. So I'd say double, triple, quadruple the price of that.
今日買わないといけないものだったから、反動してたな。
Living in Tokyo is probably the most expensive place you can live in all of Japan. So keep that in mind when you want to move to Tokyo. A lot of people are opting to move out of Tokyo to the surrounding areas and have a longer commute. Saitama is very popular for that. Chiba is very popular for that. And Kanagawa is very popular for that. And the camera is way too close. What are you doing? Go away. Go away. Many people are opting to live in a very, very cheap room so they have more money for the stuff they want to spend their money on. But unfortunately, that's not really an option for everyone because living is already so expensive. So generally people compromise space or location or similar things like that in order to make a living or survive here in Tokyo. But I can recommend you guys to not just live your day on cup noodles and cheap food because A, it's not good for your health, and B, you're not getting the full Japan experience out of it. If this video gave you a little bit more information about living here in Tokyo, please be so kind and give us a like. And if you enjoyed this and want to know more about living here in Japan, then do subscribe because there's more coming soon. Also, guys, would you like to have a Kathy Katz daily monthly expenses videos? If so, let us know. See you guys. Bye. Oi. Oi. Oi.